My name is Joanne Johnson, and I'm president of a local travel club called Putnam City Retirees Travel Club. I've been the president for about 15 years, which some people think is way too long, I'm sure. But one of my favorite travel hicks or advice is that whatever you do, take at least 2 credit cards with you. Because if not, somehow something will happen that you lose it, you leave it in a restaurant or something, and you're kind of stuck without money. And the other hack is always take some small bills with you for tips. They like tips overseas just like they do at home. And another thing that's so important is that you have insurance, which I'm sure we'll be talking about. But there are some credit cards that a lot of people don't know, but they have insurance with them. And I happen to have one called Sapphire, and that includes travel insurance too. So you need to look at your credit card, and if not, you might want to find one that does, and it will pay for any mistakes or something that might happen, cancellations and something. And do make sure that you get insurance with cancellations.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Can you hear me better? Yes? Kind of? You want to turn me up a little bit? Okay, perfect. All right, Jill, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. So good morning. I'm Jill Huff with Spanish Cove Retirement Village, and I've been there over 25 years. Excited to be here. I'm packed and ready to go,
I love it.
as you can see. But I guess our biggest travel hack that we would say would be echoing what Joanne said, and also traveling with people that you trust. And that allows you to have a lot of confidence traveling, especially as we age. It could be a little bit scary. And I know that traveling with people you trust includes traveling with people that are used to, working with seniors. And it's different traveling with seniors. We don't move as fast as we did when we were 30 or 40. And so it's good to travel with people that are professionals, that are trained in working with senior adults, and also CPR certified, because you have to plan for all the what ifs. And it could be scary as you're 75 years old and thinking about taking a trip overseas or around the world. That could be a little bit daunting. So it's good to travel with people that you can trust. And we have a travel club, and we do that.
And if you can't see her sweatshirt, if you're sitting in the back and you can't see her sweatshirt, it is a bunch of suitcases. Those different colors are suitcases that have sequins on them. So good wardrobe choice today. All right, Laura.
Hi there, I'm Laura Dancer. I am owner of Delightful Trip Travel Services, which is a part of the Cruise Planners family. We do way more than cruises. I am also a certified mobility travel advocate. You may have noticed a wheelchair in the back of the room. That's my husband. And so we have learned to navigate the world on wheels. So I am a certified mobility travel advocate as well. Okay, so my favorite hack. This is not a bracelet. Okay, this is duct tape. I know this is not a joke. I met a young bride that was a missionary, and they had made several international trips. And she said she never leaves home for a big international trip without duct tape. I met this young lady 20 years ago, but I took that to heart, and I have always taken duct tape because the zipper breaks on your backpack, duct tape. Your suitcase gets damaged and cracked, duct tape. Your shoe breaks, duct tape. It may not look pretty, but it will function until you can do something better. Your spouse snores, just say it. Just say it.
Can I borrow the duct tape?
Okay, so I had been carrying duct tape for, like I said, for about 20 years, never used it. This last trip that we did to Europe, my husband's wheelchair lost a bolt, and it was the bolt that holds in the sprocket that keeps the front wheel from collapsing. And when it flew out, he flew out. So we ended up finding the bolt, the sprocket, but not the bolt to secure it. Duct tape.
Oh my goodness.
Duct tape saved our trip in Europe because when you use a mobility device, and the mobility device is no longer operable, the trip kind of goes downhill from there. So duct tape. And here's a real easy way. You don't have to take the whole roll. Take an ink pen and just roll you some on an ink pen and take it that way.
So smart. I love it. Good job.
Duct tape.
I love it. Good. Well, I will say, when I was getting ready for this, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but I thought there are so many, I did a study abroad program when I was in college. And when I went, I had to buy a new I had to have a hair dryer for there, and I had to have a phone card so I could call home, and I had all of these extra things. But there are so many just very cool things that are out there. So if you have a big trip coming up and you find that you're having to buy a bunch of big, replacements or things like that, you might just look at Amazon because they have some cool stuff. My travel hack is I keep disposable toothbrushes in my backpack. You can sell them in a little bag, because I'm telling you what, I feel like if you can't check into your hotel, you can't get to anything, but you get off a long flight and it makes me feel like a new woman. So that's my hack. All right. So Joanne, where do you see seniors getting stuck when it comes to actually pulling the trigger on traveling?
I think for seniors, they just need to do it. It just takes so much out of them, they think, because traveling is hard. Traveling is hard. I have a saying, I'm having so much fun, it's killing me. And that really is the truth. So you just say, I've always wanted to go to wherever, and just set a date. Setting a date is number one. Then you start worrying about the money. Well, trust me, you have the money. It doesn't cost any more to eat at a restaurant I was going to say California, that may not be true. In Arkansas or some places that does that at home. So just start thinking about things that you can leave at home, get on a bus or a plane, and go.
I love that. So I want to hear about your single travelers. I know that you have, when we were on our prep call, you talked a lot about people being a little bit hesitant to travel if they were traveling alone, either because a spouse couldn't or didn't want to, or maybe they had recently lost a spouse, yes, or maybe they'd always been single. How have you seen your solo travelers overcome that and then thrive?
Well, that's where a travel club is so important. And for seniors, it is important. As she said, so many of us in our older age are left alone, and it is a little scary at times. But I recommend for seniors, there's nothing better than traveling for you. You meet friends. So what do? You try to find a friend to travel with. If that's not possible, you do it anyway. And number two, I highly recommend that you go with a group. It is not good, I don't think, anywhere to travel alone, even in the city of Oklahoma City. So always try to go with a friend. Now, if you can't find a friend and you don't have anybody in your place to go with, there are many, many companies that will help you select someone to travel with. That I know can be a little bit scary, but you also have the opportunity to talk to them before the trip. And we try our best, if we have someone that needs a roommate, we try to pair them up in our club. Now, we try to pair them up with the same sex, so don't get that in mind. But it's
That's
very
a different kind of trip.
That's not what we're talking about today.
That's not what we're talking about today.
Okay, but get a good travel agent or join a club. And there are many. We're not the only club. We're the best in Oklahoma City, but we're not the only one. And it's amazing how many banks have travel opportunities. Most churches do. There are so many people out there that you can travel with. You just get to know them. And single people do. And who knows, you may meet somebody on a trip.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we were talking about maybe some hard truths when we were talking before about international travel. We're going to talk about domestic and inside Oklahoma and all of that. But a lot of people, international travel is a goal for them. How realistic is it to travel internationally? And what are some things that people should consider before they start doing that?
Well, I think traveling international literally changes your life. Have you ever heard people say, when I got home, I wanted to kiss the ground? That's true. That doesn't mean that they didn't have a good time, but you learn so much about other customs. It makes you appreciate your own a lot. I think I'm a better citizen and a better person for having traveled overseas. And just start planning. As I said before, traveling is hard. Jet lag is real, but I'm telling you, you are tough. You can do it. As I said, have so much fun that it just about kills you. Think about your medications. Have your medications all lined up. You don't want to be worrying about medications when you're overseas. You don't want to be going to drugstores and going around because you want to have fun. You want to see the statues. You'll see lots of churches, and you'll love the churches, by the way. So plan, put apps on your phone. Make sure you have a currency converter on your phone. That helps tremendously. And get your money exchanged right away. So international travel is not to be scary at all. They love you. I always say, if they would just let the people run the world, we'd never have another war. People overseas, yes, people overseas are so friendly. Don't be afraid. They want to help you, and they love Americans.
You know, a lot of people that I talk to are really concerned about the language barrier, but I think traveling with a group helps that a lot. And there are so many very cool apps too. There's an app where if you turn your camera on, it'll actually translate it in real time and hold it up to a sign, and you can see what the sign says.
It's important to do well, it's important. I'm one that doesn't do a lot of research before I go. I just want to go. Take me anywhere. But do research, and she's right, there are so many apps out there. I just found a new app for medicine that will remind you that I'm going to put on my phone. So there's so much help out there that you can get by just Google. Google's our best friend.
Well, one of the things that you really made a point to tell me when we spoke before was maybe being honest with yourself about mobility. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yes. In our club, we have a lot of people with mobility issues too, and that does not prohibit you to travel at all, and I think Laura will probably talk a little bit more about that. The only thing is, and I've seen some bad experiences with this, if you do have mobility issues, do not hop on a plane, go overseas, and expect the tour leaders to take care of you. Because they won't. They can't. They have 40 other people to worry about. But you can go. Don't let that stop you. Obviously, if you have a friend to go with you that can help you with your wheelchair and all of that, that's the best. But I can't stress enough to go with a group, because we have tour leaders, you know. I mean, that's what we do. We have tour leaders that plan our trip and go with you. I can't stress enough to use a travel agent, and they can give you so much advice.
Yeah. Okay, last question, then we're going to switch to Laura. But let's talk about the men in the room, because you were talking about how sometimes men resist traveling in a group. You would speak to that?
Well, look at all these men out there, and every one of them thinks they're so macho, right? Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, you guys like to drive. You want to be in charge. But after you get on a bus or a plane, particularly a bus, I love bus travel, all of a sudden somebody is finding the gas stations for you. They're finding the restaurants. They're carrying the luggage. And all of a sudden, you take a quick nap that you love to do all the time.
Duct tape.
And yes, And I was going to say, I didn't want to get Laura's thunder, but I don't think I've ever met tour leaders that didn't have duct tape. So, yeah.
Maybe not for the men taking the nap.
No, no. But yes, men, and I remember the first time that we took a local trip years ago, and we had a tour guide. We learned more about California than we ever learned in our lives, and that spoiled us. So men, suck it up, sit back, relax, and leave the planning and the driving to us.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Laura, okay, what does successful travel look like from a travel agent's perspective, and great outcome for your clients, things like that?
Success would look like being prepared, not just prepared for the trip, but prepared for any difficulties that come up. So it's one thing to have everything planned out, but then also thinking through what if this doesn't work, and having a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, so that when things come out, it's not a high stress situation. You already know how to navigate as you move along. So just intense planning on the front side.
Okay. And safety conversations, what safety precautions should people take? And I know that Jill's going to talk a lot about safety too, but I want to hear from your perspective as well.
Really, it goes back to the planning piece, knowing once you get to the airport, to your destination, how are you going to get from the airport to your hotel? What does that look like? Who am I looking for? Where am I going to be standing outside to catch my transportation? That kind of thing. If you're in a foreign country, I think I go right back to be in a group. There's safety in numbers is a real thing. So I think the heart of safety is being aware of your surroundings and being with other people.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, how often have we seen when we get off of an international flight and there are people there and their shirts say information, but they're not information, right? And so they're waiting for the people who don't know where they're going. And you may or may not, you may make it to the hotel that's paying them to be there and not the hotel that you've scheduled.
Right.
So what are some of the biggest scams or financial risks that you're seeing right now that people need to be aware of?
Just in general, third-party vendors, beware of those because you may not always be getting what you think you're getting. An example of that was I had a neighbor across the street that was looking for an all-inclusive, and she sent me over. She said, here, I sent her some prices, and she came back and said, well, it's much cheaper at Costco. I'm like, okay, let me look at that. What she was about to pull the trigger on and buy at Costco was a hotel room at an all-inclusive that did not include food and beverage. Because not all-inclusive, you can buy just a room at an all-inclusive. But because it wasn't all-inclusive, she made the assumption that it came with food and beverage. It did not. That's something that you can get caught up in using third-party vendors. So the biggest safety factor is using a travel agent to let that be the buffer for you to help you not be to keep you educated in exactly what you're getting, the product that you're getting.
So what is the cost associated with working with a travel agent? What can somebody expect to pay?
I'm free.
Yeah.
I don't pay
a lot of people don't know that.
You don't pay anything extra to use a travel agent. The vendors that we book through, the cruise line, the all-inclusive, the transportation company, we make a small commission off of that. So when you use a travel agent, you are getting their service and their expertise without it costing you anything extra. They're going to save you time because they're doing the legwork, they're doing the investigation, and a lot of times they're going to save you money because we have access to insider deals that the general public does not. And when you're looking for a travel agent, one of the things I want you to be when you're interviewing, because I think you do need to interview a travel agent. Of course, how long have they been doing that? But do they do it full time? There is a movement that's been around for the last several years where you can buy a membership to be able to sell travel to your friends and family. And that's great for people that want to just travel with their friends and their family and maybe here and there. But ask the potential travel agent that you're looking to hire, is this your full-time job or is this your part-time job? If they tell you it's their part-time job, then that's a hobbyist, and you want someone who has dedicated their career to travel because they were that passionate about it. So that would be my number one tip for looking for a travel agent is this something that you're doing full time? Because that's going to show you how much buy-in they have into travel.
Perfect. So travel insurance, good deal, bad deal. What are your thoughts on travel insurance?
I get it every time, no matter what. Not only is it going to cover you if you have a medical issue on your travels, it will also cover you if you have to cancel your travel because you had a medical issue, or you had a house fire the day before you were supposed to leave. There's a lot of things that you don't think about that it actually covers. This is very, very important if you're going to do international travel, because your Medicare will not work overseas. If you, for instance, are on a cruise ship and need to be medically evacuated from a cruise ship, that price tag, depending on how deep you are into the ocean, can cost over $20,000, and you are not covered on your Medicare or your personal insurance for that. So when you are looking at travel insurance, be very careful to look at what it's going to cost you if you have to have a helicopter flight. And you may say, well, I don't need travel insurance. We're just going to run down to the Bahamas and come back. Okay, this is a real life story. My 29-year-old autistic nephew has talked every day for 3 years about going on a Disney cruise for his 30th birthday, which is tomorrow. When I say he's talked about it every day for 3 years, he's talked about it every day for 3 years. So Disney cruise comes around and it's booked. They're ready to go. They have the T-shirts made up. 3 days before he's supposed to go on a plane to Florida, 29-year-old, did I mention that, falls and breaks his hip. Guess who's not going to Disney? Guess whose daddy had travel insurance to the tune of a $10,000 loss they would have had, but their insurance covered it. There was nothing going to keep that family from going to Disney except broken hip, because you can't anticipate that. It can happen at any age. It can happen to anyone at any time. Travel insurance is a must for international travel and domestic travel as well.
Okay. Do you guys normally get travel insurance? Let me see. Yeah, lots of you guys do. Good job. Very good. Very good. Okay, so you talked about some domestic travel options that seniors tend to overlook. Tell me about that.
One of the things that I think a lot of people forget, that because it's not part of our culture here in the South so much, is that's train travel. Up in the Northeast is much more popular because that's something that's part of their culture. It's just not here. But when you travel by train, you may have done a trip to, through the national parks and that kind of thing by road. But when you do it by train, you're going to see things that you never saw before because the tracks go where the roads don't sometimes. So I would think the most utilized domestic travel that is very fulfilling for seniors would be train.
I love that. So what is, and Canada has a really cool coast to coast train.
You can go from one side of Canada to the other.
Yeah.
It takes
have any of you guys done train travel domestically? Anybody? Yeah, a few of you. There's one in Colorado that's really pretty too.
Yeah, and if you're doing one of those longer train trips, you can do it as a tour. Again, safety in numbers, and go with groups where you're on the train during the day and then you have a nice cushy hotel at night. You don't necessarily have to sleep on the train. There are tours that you can do that stop every night where they will handle your baggage, your luggage for you. All you do is get off the train and go to your hotel room. And then there's other options where if sleeping on a train sounds kind of cool to you, that's an option too.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so what's a first step that somebody can take if they're a little bit nervous about travel?
Do just a little weekend getaway. Do something local. Do something with a group. Use a trusted travel agent. It might be something as simple as going on a trip to Northwest Arkansas. That's close, that's local, and visiting the Walmart headquarters with a group. So
They have a museum.
they have a museum. It's pretty cool. Start with some of the travel clubs that do local Oklahoma tours, going through some of the historical district in Tulsa. It's just right up the road. So just start small and then work your way out. But you're not going to do any of that unless you book it. So don't wait, book it.
I think too, like after an injury or after the loss of a spouse or something like that, I think that those are the times where people really, they think, well, that'd be nice, but not yet, or my life looks so much different than I thought my life was going to look. And so that's an emotional thing that they have to overcome too.
If you're waiting for the perfect time to travel, it's never going to happen, because the perfect time will keep moving, because this happened and that happened and this happened. So just book it, and it gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah, I love that. Like I said, I've always got a trip booked because got to get through the Monday, right? Okay, so Jill, tell me, what does a successful, when you guys are thinking about, okay, you're on your way back to Spanish Cove after a trip, what makes that feel like a success to you?
So I would say what makes it look like a success is that everybody's grinning ear to ear and talking about when are we taking the next trip, which, by the way, we just got back from Arkansas. And some of the people in the room here went with us to Bentonville.
Was it a great trip?
Yes, it was a great trip. Joanne went. It was a great trip. And we're planning a trip for a train ride to Canada this coming up next year. Yeah,
I love that.
So we do take those trips. And so success to me really does look like that, even when you have unexpected things happen. So we do require, our Spanish Cove has a travel club, and it's for residents and Spirit Club people. And you may not know what some of those things mean, but we can share that information with you.
Melissa, wave your hand, and she's
Melissa, she has that
Melissa's in the back,
information.
so she can answer questions too.
Yeah, so because it is scary to go on a trip. So we love for people to come that are maybe not a resident, but just checking out how to travel. And we try to make it really, really easy and our goal is success, of course. And traveling is hard. And, we have our own motor coach that takes people to the airport and then pushes you through the airport and picks you up at your destination. So that is all really, really important. And
I love that. Well, and talk to me a little bit about when we were speaking, getting ready for this panel, you told me a story about how important it was, the systems that you have in place for making sure, the people getting off the bus and all of that. You want to talk about that?
Yes. So we do have a system in place, and we try, like you all are planners, you come to these seminars to learn about ways to navigate the rest of your life successfully. And so we do try to do that too at Spanish Cove. We require everybody to have insurance, and because we want to plan for the best trip, but we want to also understand that we could expect some crises to happen. So our system includes, we require you to fill out a medical information form so that we know what medicine you're taking and who to contact if there's an emergency. Unfortunately, those things have happened. Last year we went to Yellowstone, and we were on top of Rocky Mountain National Park, and we were getting ready to get off. And it's like one of the highest peaks in America. And we have a system where one of us is always the last person off. And also, by the way, our team who travel with the residents and Spirit Club people are CPR certified. We travel with a defibrillator, hope and pray we never use it. We did bust it out on this trip, which was kind of scary, I will say. But we are CPR certified. We are trained to work with seniors during a crisis. And we were on top of Rocky Mountain National Park, and I'm the last one off the bus. And I said to Gary, who's a retired dentist, are you getting off, you and Fran, his wife? And he said, yeah, come on, Fran. Well, she had a ball cap on and sunglasses on. He said, she's sleeping. And I said, Gary, I don't think she's sleeping. So I jumped in the seat in front and started shaking her, and I know that her dog means the world to her, probably more than her children, and it's called Mama Dog. And I started shaking her, and I said, Fran, come on, wake up. And she was unresponsive. So we had to call 911, and long story short, a helicopter had to come on top of the mountain and Meta-flight her off. So thank goodness we make everybody have insurance. A car was waiting at Estes Park for Gary, her husband, to drive him to the hospital. And, they were able to return back safely and a lot less expensively because of that insurance. So we also require people to do COVID and flu testing before boarding our motor coach. Like I said, we want to make sure people are healthy. Sometimes people think it's just allergies. We were in Kentucky, and some people got the bird flu, and it was horrible. And there were 3 people that had to stay behind, and one person, we couldn't get a hold of her daughter to come. And they had insurance, so their family members were able to come, except for this one person, and it was really hard for me to leave them, but we flew staff there to take care of them and stay with them and travel back with them. So we do have a system in place.
I love that. And I think that's something that if you're traveling alone, maybe you just think, I'm going to hop out and take this picture. She's asleep in the passenger seat. And you're like, oh, she's just asleep. I'm going to hop out and get a picture. But because you had those systems and processes in place, and you knew, hey, we need to just double check. I think that's wonderful. I mean, that system saved somebody's life.
It really did. And she wrote a testimonial about it, and was just they were blown away that we were able to do that. And even the park ranger, when they came on board, they were shocked that we had our own motor coach and we had our own staff, but also that we had a special book with every single person there with their copy of their insurance, their health insurance, their driver's license. So when he came on board to remove her, we sent him with this packet, and it saved her life. And then we've had trips where people have had to be Meta-flighted back to Oklahoma to the hospital. And then since we're a life care, continuing care retirement community, we have skilled nursing, so they were able to fly right back and get care. And so that's important too. Those are part of our systems, because we want to focus on making travel enjoyable, safe, and accessible. And people travel with their walkers, their canes, their motorized scooters and power chairs, and we help them get those things, because if you recognize you have a mobility issue, when our group shows up, we know exactly who. When we went to Vegas in February, Vegas is a lot of walking, and it is a lot of walking. And so we got scooters for a lot of people to make it easier for them and, less exhausting.
I can only imagine the entourage.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see some pictures of that.
There's a group picture up there, I think, from the strip.
I love that so much. Good. So let's talk about the residual effects. Like, what happens when you come home? Have you seen the relationships happen after maybe somebody goes on a trip that they're unsure?
Right. So, I think that some people think, oh, I'm 75 years. I can't do that trip. I'm too old. I can't do that. And like we've been talking about, take the trip, because you are going to make some great memories, develop some really good relationships, and make some friends that you've never thought you'd make before, those friendships. And then also, it's about, I think it brings out that adventurous spirit. And that spirit is alive in all of us. And like you said, you are so excited to see the next trip and to show up and to sign up for these trips. Even if you've gone to Bentonville before or Vegas before, going with a group is so much fun, because everything is planned. Pretty much lots of times you only have to pay for 2 extra meals on average. And it makes it just really easy. It's all planned. You show up, you get seated, you get that VIP treatment that you deserve, and it makes it really nice. When you're coming back, everybody's always saying, when's our next trip? Where are we going next? And what are we going to do? I want to go on an African safari. I mean, we're planning like these kinds of trips. Sometimes we do like the little weekend trips or the simple day trips, but we also go big.
Yeah, I love that so much. Where is, and I think one thing that I wanted you to talk about was the relationships after, like when people get off the, like I would assume that there are new friendships, that there are inside jokes, that there is that camaraderie that happens.
Oh yeah, so we'll see people that, like Joanne said, sometimes they need a roommate. And so we try to match people up with roommates, and then they are like the best of friends. They are buying matching t-shirts, from the experience, and several days on the trip, and thereafter they're wearing those matching shirts, and they become great friends, because it can be scary, but you're traveling with people that want a sense of adventure and want to learn and aren't afraid, and also have some limitations. and that's okay. And when they come back, they become great friends, best friends that they never even knew before.
Yeah.
Which is really, really nice. And then they're rooming together on the next trip.
Yeah, right.
So it makes it fun.
Joanne, you laughed. Do you have a story about that? Did you make a friend?
No, but I'm trying.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, but I was just thinking, even if you go alone, my husband and I always travel by ourselves a lot to meet a trip. And you can do that too. You don't have to start here in Oklahoma City as a group. You can meet. We liked that because honestly, we've met people from all over the world. You know, I really don't know why I was laughing, because I sit up here and I'm thinking of so many experiences. But I will have to tell you that it hasn't been that long ago that one of our younger travelers had just retired, went on one of our trips, was sitting minding her own business on a cruise ship, and this gentleman sat with her. They've been married for a year and they've traveled the world. So, literally traveled the world. So you can meet people on other. And another thing that I was going to say, if you're single and you meet up with a group like I'm talking about, you know, you have to get maybe to New York by yourself or something, and all of you can do that because you got here today, so you can do that. But they will ask you to like pair up with somebody, pick somebody on the trip to make sure that you're back on time. You know, that's kind of
Like a moving buddy.
Yes.
Like in Toy Story, you got to have your moving buddy.
Exactly.
Okay, I love it.
Exactly. And you are well taken care of. Don't be afraid to travel if you're by yourself. And I know once you lose your mate, you think you just can't do it, especially. You can do it. You can do it.
I want to piggyback on what you're saying. So they just got, the Spanish Cove Touring Club just got back from the Snake River. And while they were on that trip, they met another group from Tulsa. And they exchanged phone numbers and became friends. And I think maybe we're planning trips with them and they're planning trips with us. So that's exciting. But also, as a single person traveling alone, we have people that will travel with us. And we have staff on our trip. And I'll never forget, one lady was at the bar with like a younger man drinking. And I remember we all took turns watching because we were a little bit worried that, you know, this person saw this person that they were buying each other drinks, and it can be scary. So you have to be careful too.
Have to have a chaperone.
Or friends that are watching out for friends.
And I will always volunteer to chaperone.
Okay, good. All right, so tell me, before we start doing Q&A, tell me, what's one trip that just really changed your perspective on traveling? You want to start? What stands out to you?
I can truthfully say every country that I've been to has changed my life in a positive way. You just pick up something there that you'll live with and stays with you the rest of your life. I still remember walking in the dust in Cambodia and the hotel wouldn't let you in until you cleaned yourself. Africa gave me a love for animals that I didn't have before. But when I went to Burma, we met the chief, monks, right? And we talked for a long time. Our group talked for a long time, and he wanted to pray for us, and he did. And as we were leaving, I asked him, what could we do for you? And he loved cars. I thought he'd say, send me a car, or something to that effect. And he said, pray for peace. Do you know I still pray for peace for Burma? And see, I get a little emotional. And we had a young tour guide, maybe 30, the cutest kid you've ever seen. I wanted to bring him home with me. And I still remember as we were going through the airport, he couldn't go in, him leaning up, putting his face into the glass and watching us. He wanted to go to America. Traveling changes your life. It makes you a better citizen. I've always said, you know, we used to have compulsory army, remember? You know, sometimes I think we all should have to make an overseas trip it will change your life.
Love that. Jill, what's something that changed your life?
Probably the Yellowstone trip for me personally, because we were gone about 10 days, and it was the first time we'd ever traveled on a plane as a group, and were picked up by the motor coach, and then we had a crisis with the helicopter on top of the mountain, and, that was a little bit scary, and, I've learned that we travel with oxygen now, too, because even when we went to the balloon fiesta in October, somebody needed oxygen, even in Santa Fe, because you're up, that elevation is high, so we, busted out the oxygen, and that was helpful. So probably that trip was pretty amazing. Yeah.
I love that.
Thanks.
Our most amazing trip is the one that we just finished. We did a river cruise on Alma Waterways, which I absolutely recommend. It was phenomenal. We cruised up the Danube River. We left out of Budapest, and we ended in Vilshofen, Germany, which is near Munich. And I just can't say enough good things about the things that we saw, and it was just wonderful. But when we finished the trip, from there, we took a train up to Prague. And my husband Prague has been on his bucket list for about 25 years, because he had a boss that was from Czechoslovakia that always talked about his homeland. He always wanted to go there. So I've given my husband his bucket list. Now it's time for mine. Anyway, so I still remember specifically we had taken a little break for lunch, and we were saying our lunch prayer, and I said out loud, Lord, make my eyes bigger to help me take in this beauty, because it was just one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. Lord, make my eyes bigger to take in your beauty.
I love that.
I got to add something. So I think the most memorable trips for me have been at fulfilling people's bucket lists.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we were at Rocky Mountain National Park, several of us zip-lined through the Royal Gorge.
That is so
And it was one lady's, it was on her bucket list, and she actually passed away this year. And it was exciting that I zip-lined, and it wasn't scary at all. Two of our residents got stuck, and they had to get people to climb those cables. That was terrifying. Glad
I thought you were going to say helicopter again.
Yeah. I mean, that was real. Could you imagine? It was just.
I'd rather not imagine.
Yeah. And then this last October, several of us had on our bucket list to do a hot air balloon ride, and we did that. And that was amazing, quite magical. So
It's almost like you were reading my mind, because I love that you said that. If you look at your notes page, there's a place on there for you to daydream just a little bit and write some places where you might want to go. And maybe you're not somebody who wants to travel internationally. That's okay. I actually know several people who are they just like it here. But there are some really cool places in Oklahoma. Do you guys have any suggestions here in Oklahoma that somebody needs to go to? I would say everyone needs to go to the memorial. Absolutely. You need to make a little trip to the memorial.
There are so many places. I don't know. I just went to Bentonville with Spanish Cove. But in Oklahoma City, I really recommend that you call the tourism department. They have wonderful literature. They have a brochure with just restaurants. You pretend you're traveling and go to a restaurant across the city or something. They have wonderful literature, and I urge you to call. And if you're thinking about a city, call the Chamber of Commerce. They have so many helps. You won't be alone. Believe me, when you travel, people are just waiting out there to help you.
Now, do you take trips here in Oklahoma City? I know Spanish Cove does. And
this year we're doing 19 one-day trips.
Okay.
We're doing 37 trips in all. We go overseas. We do 7-day trips. We do long trips, short trips. But we love the one-day trips. And occasionally I hear someone say, I've been there. And I always say, well, what does that have to do with it? Go with us again. Because I say it's our social arm of our club. Because you get out, we always have lunch, and if they honor me, they stop at Brahms, so we just do a lot of fun things. Do the one-day trips. They're very popular with us.
yeah, we do one-day trips too. And if you love me, we go to Buc-ee's. That's where I like to go.
Okay.
But
What do you
Joanne's
get at
done
Buc-ee's?
Oh my God, everything.
Oh, okay.
Everything. So, and Joanne's been on several of our day trips, and we have
Going Thursday.
yes. So we have mystery trips. We have like planned trips that for the day. We have couple of day trips, and we have travel meetings. We have one June 2nd at Spanish Cove. I think you have travel meetings too. So come to the meetings and find out where they're going. And I know we always want to hear what you want to do. And that's where we get our best ideas is from our residents, from Spirit Club people, from people that just come and just say, oh, can I go and just see how it is to travel?
Yeah, I love that. So my hope for you is that you just do something that's maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Talk to one of these ladies. Laura's got a lot of information in the back too, and they can answer all of your questions. I just think traveling is so important in it, and it allows you to just kind of step out of your routine, which is good for our brains and it's good for our social interactions and trying new foods. It's just really, really important to travel. I've been looking forward to this panel all year. And so it's been so fun. Now, I do want you guys to hang tight for just a second. We're going to try something a little bit new. I'm going to do some announcements, and then we're going to do some Q&A, because I do not want you to forget to write your name on your yellow paper. So write your name on your yellow paper. Okay, so there's your yellow paper. You're going to give us some feedback. If we do not get to your question, make sure that you write it down. And I've got my mic runners. Thank you, ladies. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about tours for just a minute. I feel really strongly about tours. I believe that everybody should be touring senior communities as often as they get an opportunity, because you just never know if one community is going to be a blessing to somebody that you know, even if it's not a great fit for you. It's really important to get out and take these tours. We're pretty full. So, Amy, were you telling me that if they sign up for a tour today, they're probably going to be on a wait list, and we'll call them if someone cancels? But we will do another tour, and we will let you know when we go to it the next time. But I definitely want you to go ahead and sign up if you're interested. Album is an independent living community. So it's kind of a leased community similar to the Grove. I think we've been to the Grove before. Quail Ridge, I love touring Quail Ridge. Rhonda is here somewhere and can't see. Oh, there she is in the back. So Quail Ridge does a great tour. One of the things that I love about Quail Ridge Assisted Living is they also have a storm shelter situation downstairs where people can go in bad weather, and that's kind of unique. So I'd love for you to see that. It's kind of a basement situation. Okay, so Q&A. So you're going to write your name on your yellow paper. You're going to fill out your green page, and we've got some questions. So where do we want to start? Where are my people? Starting over here. All right, Anna.
Thanks, Nikki Buckaloo. So I have Jill a quick question, and then I have my real question. Jill, I know your people at Spanish Cove travel a lot. Do you know the average age of your travelers, just out of curiosity?
I would say it's probably around 75 or 80.
Okay.
Because we have people in their 60s, but people also, Martha, 85, 89? At Yellowstone, we had two 90-something-year-olds.
I just wanted to point that out, because people say at a certain age they quit traveling, not at Spanish Cove. No. Okay.
No.
So my
age
real
doesn't define how you travel.
Thank you. Yeah, my real.
Yeah.
So my real question is airports. We travel a lot too, and I'm always wondering what is it like traveling in an airport if you need a mobility device, a wheelchair, somebody to assist you. How does that work?
So we plan ahead for that. We find out about mobility issues ahead of time and have it scheduled. When we went to Vegas in February, I came back with the people that were not as mobile because the other half of the group were hiking through Arizona on the motor coach. And I had 12 people that needed wheelchairs. And so we had that all arranged. And they don't have any. Right. So you have to call
Nikki asked, how does someone do it if they're not traveling in a group?
So you can't do it ahead of time. If you call Southwest or the airport, they say you have to call the day of travel. And it's a lot of work. And I tell our people, bring some cash and tip them, because you have a person pushing you through security and everything from the time you arrive to you get on that plane. but you have to call. I always call ahead of time, but then the day of, you have to call that day because they will tell you, call us that day.
All right. Casey?
Yeah, they connect you.
Also, Casey, mic runner tip, you never hand your mic off to someone and that guy's squirrely, so you got to be careful with him. Keep your, duct tape. Keep your hand on the mic.
I feel very attacked by the duct tape comment, young lady. So
That's my husband for you guys.
So if I'm looking at, let's say I want to go to Europe next week and I've never been, are there certain documents that I should have in advance, like a passport, or are there other documents? But talk about that process.
You're absolutely going to need a passport. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, if there is an expiration date on your passport, it's good for 10 years. But when you are traveling, that passport needs to be in date 6 months past your anticipated return back to the United States. So if Roberto's gonna travel next week, he's gonna need a passport that's gonna be good until December in order to get back. And there's a lot of there's cruise lines, there's airlines that even though your passport is still in date, they're not going to let you travel because of that 6 month rule. And you may be wondering, why do they have that 6 month rule? Because if you had a medical issue in a foreign country, that gives you a cushion to be able to work through that issue and still get home. Because if you had a medical issue and then your passport expires the next week, you're really going to have trouble because then you're stuck in a foreign country without a current passport. Another thing I want to call out is there is a new, it's called the inter-exit system in the husband, tell me with the name, Schengen area? Schengen area. It's part of Europe, it's not all of Europe, where they are going to require you to take a photo and do fingerprints when you come into the first country that is in this area. So we were flying, we were going to Vienna, but we had a stop in Germany, and that was our first stop that was in this area. And so that's where we had to do the fingerprints and the pictures. That is going to take anywhere from 10 minutes to maybe an hour. It depends on how many agents they have doing it at the time, how many people were on your plane, that kind of thing. So I'm telling you that to help you know that you may need a bigger window for a connection if you're going to be that first stop into a country in Europe, if it's in this particular area, and you can Google that and see where those areas are.
And Laura, for logistical purposes, like the travel agent would make them aware of that beforehand. And then I'm just curious, based on his question, since apparently I'm going to Europe next week, when is the ideal,
You're taking duct tape with you.
when is the ideal time to book a flight if you're going to travel? Do you need to do it a year ahead of time, or what do you think as far as planning?
Right now, air flights are kind of crazy. And so it's really a great deal if you can get a tour that includes air or includes discount air. I know right now On the Waterways has $5.99 air to Europe round trip, which is incredible. So if you can find deals like that, definitely jump on those, because right now Europe prices are a little hard. So
Okay, thank you. All right, where are we at? Okay, Miss Martha.
Yes. The thing that was not covered was the requirements for luggage if you're not flying, but if you're on buses or is there requirements that for your luggage as far as you do have for airplanes, but buses are a little different. So
Martha wants to know if she can bring 14 suitcases on her trip.
Well, Martha knows better traveling with Spanish Cove. That would not work because I would be the first one with 14 suitcases. No, we can only, when you take trips, and I can speak about our touring club, we really don't want the residents or Spirit Club people having to like schlep and pull their luggage everywhere. We do it for you. And so we don't want you lifting a finger or hurting yourself, especially, you know, navigating life is hard enough as we age. And so we do require one suitcase for the motor coach and then one bag that can fit in the overhead.
Okay.
That's what we
perfect. And you
require.
tell them way in advance. She is
Yes.
not wheeling all 14 down and you're saying, no, you have to consolidate.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's
okay,
right.
Awesome. Who's next? Miss Casey.
I have a comment also about luggage. Several years ago, my wife and I were traveling in Europe for about 2 months with a small group, and our rule that developed was if you can't carry your stuff to the 4th floor, you've got too much stuff. And along those lines, since males were viciously attacked earlier, and I would say that I would say that unless you have some physical inability as a male, your luggage is your responsibility, not mine.
Oh, okay. Do you have a question? Okay, thanks. All right. Yes.
One of the challenges that I run into on the international trips is telephone access. Do any of you have any recommendations, or what kind of systems do you use so that you still have online access, telephone, and internet?
We use WhatsApp, the WhatsApp. But
We have used the WhatsApp also, and then because I'm working at my business, even when I am traveling international, I was able to just for 1 month change my regular cell phone plan to an international plan. I want to say it cost me like $100, but I was able to do that just for 1 month. But then the WhatsApp, that's free.
So WhatsApp is an app that you can put on your phone. It is a free app that you can call. I got one built in. I'm good, sister. So it's an app, a free app that you can put on your phone. It allows you to call and text. I had a client actually that was selling their home, and they went on a trip, and so he just made sure that I had his WhatsApp information so that we could communicate while he was overseas.
yeah, so they helped Jim Morton
Yes.
do a real estate closing deal while we were on this one of these trips. And so telephone and internet is very important because I think you were working with him the whole time.
Yeah. So yeah, fun fact, if you're trying to sell your house and you're not getting very many showings, you should go on a trip because
Yes, they'll sell.
because then it will go under contract.
He got, 3 offers or something?
Yeah. So thank goodness Spanish Cove helped our client sign his documents. That was fantastic. I forgot about that. Okay, Casey. Oh,
The people that are calling also.
yes.
That's correct. Yes, they have to have
so
it too.
you would want to call your safety people, and you would want to call your children, brothers, sisters, and make sure that they knew that they could get a hold of you. That's great. Yes,
I have a question since we would mention 14 suitcases. How
17.
to pack to reduce the weight and the size and the numbers of the suitcases.
Oh, I have a fun fact for that. Can I say? Because I travel. Okay, I habitually overpack because I don't know what the weather's going to be, and I don't know what shoes I'm going to feel like wearing that day. And so I actually used, this last trip that I went on, I used AI. I went to ChatGPT and I said, I'm going on a trip to this place. These are the things that I'm going to do, and this is what the weather is. What should I pack? And it told me, and it said, you can wear these, and you should have this and this and this and this, and these pants can go with this shirt and this. And it, to me, I didn't even have, I was like, oh, I have those pants, and I have this shirt, and I have this sweater, and I have these shoes. And I thought, done. And I didn't even have to think about it anymore, and I did it. So that's my fun fact. Does anybody else have a tip?
What I do is I try to go with the same color scheme. That helps. And with us, we have the motor coach, and sometimes when you're flying, the motor coach is taking your suitcase, so you don't have to take your suitcase to the airport, and you could send some extra things on the bus at a time.
Oh, that's a great tip.
I'm going to throw in just one tip for packing. If you have medical devices that you need to pack, it might be a CPAP machine, or it could just be a lot of medications. you can get a medical bag waiver. You reach out to your airlines and you get permission to take one extra carry-on. So we get that, and in the carry-on is the charger for the wheelchair and the extra foot pedals for the wheelchair, all the medications, the only thing that can go in that bag is medical related, but they don't charge you for that bag as far as your count of how many that you are allowed to bring on. So as we are getting on the plane, I remind whoever's taking my ticket, this is my medical bag, and here's my documentation approving this for a medical bag.
I love that. Thank you. Anna, who have you got?
I just wanted to make a comment to encourage everybody to call your financial institutions prior to going on a trip, because they look for patterns for fraud. And if they see a purchase in another country, they'll shut your card off, and then you have to go through the trouble of telling them you're in another state. So if you call in advance, you can leave a comment on your profile that you're going out of town. So that way your money still works. I think that also applies to your cell phone. If you take your cell phone, because what might work in the United States for your fees and roaming charges and free minutes, they might tack on fees that you're not aware of. So you might want to call your cell phone company, say, I'm going out of town. Do you have a plan to cover me while I am out of state or out of country?
Sounds good.
That was all I had.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Can any of you speak to, you know how when you have a young person traveling alone, you can call the airport and request an escort for them. Is there an escort process for an adult, any adult, if they're like not wheelchair, not mobility issues, just, hey, I want some help navigating the airport? Is that something that's offered?
Yes, there's two programs. There's one called TSA Cares, where you can go, you can go to the TSA website and request assistance getting through the TSA security line. And that is good for anyone, just if you have travel anxiety, or if you're a parent traveling with 3 little ones and you just need an extra pair of hands getting through security, you do have to request that ahead of time. It's TSA Cares, I believe it's .org. Another option at the airport is called the Sunflower Program. This is something that it's at most major international airports within the United States. Usually there is like a customer service booth kind of outside a baggage claim, and you can go and ask them for a sunflower lanyard. And what this does is you wear it, and it is a silent signal to everyone who works in the airport that this person needs a little bit more time and patience. So, example, my 29-year-old autistic nephew who's now recovering from his broken hip so that he can go to Disney, he would be one of the folks that would be a perfect candidate to wear a sunflower lanyard. If you just have travel anxiety, like flying makes you nervous, but you know you can't go on this trip unless you get there, sunflower lanyard, just a silent signal to everyone you come in contact with that, hey, take a minute, I need a breath.
Oh, I love having that information because it will help me be a more gracious traveler too, right? That's fantastic when we see that. Good, very good. Okay, Anna?
I came in late, so I apologize if you already answered this. But if you're on dialysis, what different types of dialysis and what limitations on trips would you likely experience or would experience?
You got it.
Does anybody know? Oh, darn out. Okay, so
You have to get,
yes, Kristen, there you go.
you have to get with your dialysis unit because they'll have to just schedule dialysis treatments while you're gone. And sometimes there are actual cruises that are put together for dialysis patients. So you need to get with your physician because they'll want to schedule you at other units when you travel.
That's fascinating.
But you can't skip your treatments.
There is a company called Dialysis at Sea, if you're wanting to go on a cruise, that you can get the dialysis services on cruise ships, but it's not on every cruise ship. So you would actually book your cruise through dialysis at sea. So if you're a cruiser, that's an option for you as well.
Perfect. Yep.
In answer to the guy's statement back there about the credit card, letting them know, add a couple of days because you give them dates as to when you're gone. Add a couple of days to the end because inevitably your flight will be delayed. You will need a hotel. There's a whole bunch of other things that will happen that you need your credit card and it won't work. I had this happen with a friend of mine. And so then they had to find somebody that can pay what they needed paid, So add 2-3 more days to the length of your trip on the credit card.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay. Any more questions? We got questions. Anyway, okay, Roberto.
Question on how to pay for things, right? So if you need money, let's say you need cash, so you go to the currency exchange booth that they have at the airport, or I have always heard that it's just better to go to a bank terminal and actually just withdraw cash because you get a better currency exchange. And I just use my credit card.
This sounds like a comment disguised.
Well,
as
I'm
a
just
question,
wondering,
Roberto.
are there other ways? What's the best way to pay for things?
That's a good. When we are going international, we go to our bank a week or two before we leave town, and we will order our currency before we leave.
All right, perfect. Okay, do we have any more questions before we? And I want to hear all the comments, but maybe catch me after. But I want to make sure we get all the questions answered. Think we're good? Okay, awesome. Yes. Oh, Nikki, bless your heart. Okay, I love it. It's an exciting topic. What's your? What? No, okay.
Well, so I guess I'm curious because I've had people ask me, are there places I just can't go? I just can't go because of either mobility issues or oxygen needs or whatever it is. Is there ever a time that you say to somebody, yeah, you just can't go there?
I actually would like each of them to answer that because this is something that we talked about on our prep call and it just didn't make it on my sheet. So I love it. So yeah.
My family does travel with a wheelchair, and there are places we can't go. But until we exhaust the places we can go, I'm not going to stress about the places that we can't go.
I love that.
We were taking a cruise out that ported out of Rome, and through my research, I'm like, cobblestones and wheelchairs are not a good fit. So we always like to go a few days before the cruise. So instead of going to Rome, we flew to Munich and spent 3 or 4 days in Munich, had a blast, and then caught a flight over to Rome. And then we had an afternoon in Rome. And after a half day in Rome, when we got back to the hotel that night, my husband said, yeah, half day was enough. So there are places that goes to working with people that know the challenges of mobility to help you navigate. Is this doable? And sometimes it's doable, but it's doable differently. Sometimes it's doable, but you're going to need a companion to travel with you. So those would be so. And yeah, okay.
I love that. So Jill, when you guys are taking a trip someplace, have you ever had to say, hey, I don't know that this is the right trip for you. We need to look at a different one.
Yeah, so the Snake River, they were on a really long plane ride to get there or come home, and it was like 4 or 5 hours. And one of our residents had just gone out of skilled nursing. He's in independent living, but he had broken a hip or something. And we were really concerned about that plane ride. And so he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you should not be on a plane ride for 5 hours. That is not a good idea for you. So he had the insurance, so he was able to cancel. And then sometimes we do with our group trips, we have a pretty packed itinerary, and we will tell people, this is the schedule, but some people just can't keep up with that. And then they just stay in their hotel room and they don't mind some downtime. But there are some things that they can't do. So yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, and listening to all the questions, which have been excellent questions, but I just want to urge you, I don't care what you're thinking. There are no silly questions. always ask the airlines, and here again, I think that you should go with a club or a travel agent. Ask them. Don't ever worry, or don't wait till you get to where you're going to ask. There are so many people out there that want to help you. People that work in travel love to travel, and they will always help you. So please, please, please ask these people all of these questions and all of your concerns. And I just want to say, if you have concerns, it's always, again, travel with someone. My husband had walking issues. We could go anywhere, but he couldn't walk. And I held his hand. Well, you know what? Everybody thought we were so romantic. And seriously, you have no idea. And we traveled. We like traveling with other people, like Globus traveling people, so we had all ages. And there were a lot of young people, particularly the ladies, the little girls, they always liked leading him. So he was a happy camper, and we were a happy camper. Bottom line is, ask questions.
Yeah, prepare and ask questions. You get to keep that. Now, Martha, I want to hear your question, but
It's a comment added to Nikki's about that.
Okay, real quick, because I got to let these people go. Okay, all right, let's hear it.
I'll stand up.
Okay. How about a mic?
Oh, yes. Well, I get ready.
Okay.
Okay. So when you have a time limit at an airport of getting from one gate and one concourse to another gate and another concourse, 20 minutes between the planes, do not let pride stand in your way. Get that wheelchair and let that person push you, because guarantee you, they will get you to the gate, and then your group is cheering you for you that you are there. Come on. So
Thank you,
great.
Martha. Okay, fantastic. All right, so I'm going to see you guys on June 18th. Are we going to be here?
No.
No, we will not be here. We will be on Portland. And we're going to talk about the truth about insuring your home. I know that sounds like not the most excitingest travel, but it's important, and you need to be here. It's an important conversation. And go see an education partner. Thank you guys so much.